Chelsea Football Club must win the FA Cup. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to centre around the aftermath of the FA Cup weekend that has just played out. Manchester City left it late to come back from 1-0 down to beat Southampton to advance to the final on Saturday, whilst Chelsea, under their new interim/caretaker manager Callum McFarlane, managed to beat Leeds United by a single goal to nil to meet Pep Guardiola's side in the final at Wembley this year. But whilst it does seem like this is all Manchester City's for the win, they have now made it through to their fourth consecutive FA Cup final, looking to go one step further than they have done these past couple of years. Chelsea are all that stands in their way of making their FA Cup dreams once again a reality. But for football fans outside of Manchester City, even Arsenal fans, even maybe not necessarily Tottenham fans because they're going to be in the Championship by next season, but even rival fans, I think you should still want Manchester City to win the FA Cup. And not just for the main reason that you might think. We're going to dive into that a little bit more and explore a little bit more in detail. But before we go into all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever greatly appreciated. And I also encourage each and every single one of you to get involved in the comment section down below. Use and abuse that section, people. Talk to me on this very topic of discussion. Who do you think will win the FA Cup out of Manchester City and Chelsea? I'm sure all of your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, I'm sure will make for great interesting reading down below. So please do get involved. Use and abuse that section, people. And without further ado, we're going to get on with the conversation ourselves. So the main reason that I talk this video is obviously the possibility that City might do the domestic double. They've already won the Carabao Cup. They are into the final now of the FA Cup, and they're in a fantastic position in the Premier League to once again reclaim their throne at the top of the English football pyramid. That is terrifying. This City side are nowhere near as good as prime Manchester City as they were in previous years, but yet they could still finish this season with a domestic treble. And at the very least, 2 trophies should they get their way with one or the other of the trophies that I mentioned previously. That is a terrifying prospect in of itself. If this Manchester City isn't even up to full capacity yet, this Manchester City squad isn't even firing on all cylinders yet, and Pep Guardiola's got 1 more year to go on his contract, and if he sees out that 1 more year, God only knows what City are going to do next season. But there's a bigger reason why a lot of football fans should come together to want Chelsea to win the FA Cup, in my personal opinion. And it's not just to stop the possibility of City winning 2 or maybe even 3 trophies this year. I'm talking about what it could mean for the future of Chelsea Football Club if they win. If Chelsea lose, and with them sacking Liam Rossini recently, there's an argument to suggest that maybe the owners, Bluco, Tom Bowley, Egbali, and everybody else that's in power at Chelsea might actually finally look at themselves in the mirror and go, we're way out of our depth here. We need to redesign this entire project. Like, this has gone completely wrong. We haven't got Champions League. We've just lost an FA Cup final. We've got no trophies and nothing to really show for this season other than the fact that we've sacked 2 managers. One they gave a 6.5-year deal to in January, only to sack him a couple of months later. It's been a complete train wreck of a campaign. Failure may result in them actually looking at themselves in the mirror and going, we need to change. We need to change something. And that could be terrifying for the rest of the Premier League. If they get it right, if they hire the right people in the right places off the pitch, maybe they'll start getting things right on the pitch. Maybe they'll convince the likes of Cole Palmer, Moises Caicedo, Reece James and whoever else to stay, and maybe actually fight for major honours again for next season, the season after, or maybe the season after next. It could potentially happen. But winning, ironically, might change that a little bit. It might make them continue to go down the path that they are going to. Let me explain. If they win the FA Cup, they might see their project as actually having some life within it. They got fortunate. They got a very fortunate FA Cup run. Very fortunate FA Cup run out of this. And I mentioned previously that Chelsea's ceiling in the future, should they continue to go down this route, will be, at best, a domestic cup here, a domestic cup there, and maybe even a lower level European Cup. A Europa League or a Europa Conference League, depending on which competition they're in. They're very unlikely to challenge for the major honours that the Premier League and the Champions League have to offer. So, if they were to succeed in the FA Cup, their owners might see their project as actually working. It might just be the fault of the manager, which, ironically, a lot of Chelsea fans have shared that belief in the past. So, again, like owner, like fan, right? They might see it as that being the problem. And they'll just keep on changing. And nothing will change at Chelsea. Nothing in terms of the club's DNA or how the club's built or how the club runs will change that. They'll just go, we're going to continue buying these players. We're going to continue giving them a platform to showcase their skills. We're going to flip them for profit. And we're going to buy the next new star. And we're going to let them have the platform. And we're going to flip them. And we're not really going to build a team out of it. We'll cherry pick one or two players here and there to make sure that we're eligible and have enough talent and quality to compete to get into the top 5 and Champions League football for the following season. But there's nothing to suggest that Chelsea would actually go on to compete for major honours, because they're not using the profit that they're flipping these players for to bring in these star quality players. Of course, not everything is set in stone. And maybe, just maybe, Chelsea go on and win the FA Cup. And maybe they still go on and change how they operate in terms of the transfer market. Maybe they do still continue to bring in these youngsters and flip them for profit. But maybe they actually start using that profit to bring in these high quality level players that are actually going to push them to that next level of actually being a major force in Europe and the domestic league again. Maybe that could be the possibility. But if the owners continue to go down this path, then maybe next season we are potentially looking at this guy right here, Callum McFarlane. If he gets Chelsea another FA Cup to add to their trophy room, we are potentially seeing this guy a lot more next season in the dugout at Stamford Bridge, which I'm completely okay with, because I know that Chelsea, under his management, will not be a threat. I am potentially seeing Bluco, Todd Bowley, and the people and everybody else in power at Chelsea continue to operate how they are operating at, which, to my knowledge and recollection, hasn't exactly been great since the big mega takeover several years ago. So if that continues, again, Chelsea will fall away and become less and less of a threat, especially in the Premier League, and they're not even qualified for the Champions League, so there's no worry about running into them at any latter stage in that competition either. I'm cool with Chelsea winning it. I wanted Leeds to. I was a bit surprised that Chelsea won yesterday against Leeds in the semi-final. I was a little bit surprised. I thought Leeds were actually going to go on and do it. But this is actually a nice alternative, because again, I firmly believe that if Chelsea were to go on and win this competition, Chelsea may therefore see that this project may actually be working, which it isn't, by the way. Not at least to the level that they want it and imagine it to be going. And this could be like one of the last final hurrahs for Chelsea going forward. I actually like it. Now, I could be just talking absolute nonsense. This could be 100% wrong. And like I say, there is a slim possibility that even with triumph, Chelsea still change their ways. And if that happens, I'm perfectly willing to hold my hands up and say that I was wrong on this. But I think it's in everybody's best interest that when the final does come around at Wembley, when Chelsea take on Manchester City again, I think it's in everybody's best interest to support Chelsea in that game. I think supporting Chelsea is potentially the best outcome for everyone. Not Manchester City fans who could be on for a treble, of course, but maybe in the long term it might actually benefit City more and more. But until then, we'll never know. We'll have to wait until, of course, that final in the FA Cup and the aftermath of that to see what truly transpires at Chelsea. Big few weeks, few months ahead for the Blues as they prepare for Wembley, and they also continue their search for a new manager, a new head coach. Obviously, that's going to be a big indication as well as to whether or not Chelsea Blue Co have changed their ways. We'll obviously have to wait and see. But until things are different, until the evidence presented in front of us is somewhat different, then of course we can only play with the cards that we're dealt. And from what we're seeing right now, like I say, Chelsea winning the FA Cup is not a bad alternative whatsoever. I don't like it, but if it's good for the long term, it might just be okay for football in general. And there you have it, folks. There's my thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever I'm going to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling, though, so let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on this topic itself between Manchester City and Chelsea in the FA Cup final at Wembley. Yeah, like I say, let me know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Would love to know what you guys have to say on all of that. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up. Enjoy the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video. And I'll see you speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.